Let's prep things up because it's time to add some color to your lazy Sunday. Welcome to Colors of India, your very own cultural diary. Here is a look at our favorites. The brothers rock the show. Revisiting the past and a tasty food story. Carrying on the legacy of their forefathers is Aman and Ayan Ali Khan. Their music is dipped in tradition but at the same time very futuristic. Adding to the youthful flavor of Rag Rang was a performance by Aman and Ayan Ali Khan, the Sarod brothers. They are the torchbearers of a long classical tradition and are partners in the journey of their musical evolution. The first composition they played out that evening echoed this very sentiment.
Eventually, I want Sarod to reach out to an audience that would perhaps not be exposed to the instrument. The pieces that we'll present are, of course, going to be in a contemporary feel. We have the drums, the keyboards, and a whole lot of other things. But, we maintain the sanctity of every rag. So this is what I strongly believe, that in order to be contemporary, you don't have to murder tradition. I feel I'm very proud of the musical legacy our country has. So I would just like to, repackage it in whatever humble way I can.
From their album Reincarnation, which is a musical tribute to tradition and modernity, they chose Twilight, a composition based on Rag Puryat Dhanashri. Together with their supporting instrumentalists, they scaled the octaves one after the other and towards the end blended into a concluding crescendo.
The music tonight, it's been fantastic. It's been really cultural and really interesting to hear. I've not heard anything like it so far yet. I really like the way the pieces have flowed into each other and the way they've introduced each piece as well before, so we have an idea of what it's about before we hear it. And the way the musicians are all working together and really getting into it. It's really interesting.
Their second song, Naina More, was a burst of melody and finely crafted notes. It was also a piece in which both of them explored their individual possibilities and distinct identities. When one touched lightly on the sarod, gracefully moving from one note to the next, the other seemed to enjoy its power and resonance.
उन्होंने ये मॉडर्नाइजेशन करके जिस तरह का ये फ्यूजन टाइप बजा रहे हैं वो कुछ हद तक तो अच्छा है, लेकिन उसमें क्या है कि रागदारी का वो मज़ा नहीं है। जिनको रागदारी और डेप्थ चाहिए और खाली एक क्लासिकल के कॉन्सर्ट में इतना ज़्यादा ये फ्यूज़न में शोर शराबा ज़्यादा हो जाता है, वो डेप्थ अगेन नहीं आ पाती है। लेकिन ये एक नया एक्सपेरिमेंट है और उसको देखते हुए इन लोगों ने अच्छा परफॉर्म किया है। नए धुनें बनाई उन्होंने, या जैसे जिस तरह से बंगाली धुन बजाई और बागेश्वरी राग के अंदर उन्होंने रचनाएं की, वो रचनाएं अच्छी है और आम जनता को शायद बहुत अच्छा लगेगा इस तरह का म्यूज़िक। लेकिन जो ट्रेडिशनल लोग हैं शायद उनको क्लासिकल ज़्यादा पसंद आएगा।
Their modern interpretations sometimes poured in like an angry monsoon shower, or slowly lulled you into its caressing fold, and at other times struck a chord deep within. Their unapologetic style is a statement by itself that says, take it or leave it.
The Rag Rang festival has finally made a comeback after budgetary and logistical issues, and it looks like they are here to stay. Also, on the global arena gaining awareness is the Pichwai paintings from Rajasthan.
Pichwai, the Rajasthani art form, has been around since the 11th century. The name itself comes from the Sanskrit word pitch, which means black, and vais meaning hanging. This goes to show that these paintings were originally made as hanging wall decorations for temples. And for the past 40 years, Jagdish Parihar has successfully preserved this dying art form.
हमारे पास वर्कशॉप है। पुराने आर्टिस्ट जो है ना, उनकी डेथ हो चुकी, पीछे की पीढ़ी उनकी कोई काम नहीं करती है, तो मैं 40 साल से इसी काम में लगा हुआ हूँ और नई पीढ़ियों को है ना हम तैयार करके उनको आर्टिस्ट बना रहे हैं और उन्हीं का कुछ कलेक्शन है, कुछ सीनियर आर्टिस्टों का है और उनका जूनियर आर्टिस्ट हैं, वो लोग इसके साथ में मिलकर के काम सीख रहे हैं और कर रहे हैं। यही हम वर्कशॉप के अंदर हमारा काम चलता है और करीबन 6-7 लड़के अभी हमने तैयार किए हैं जो बराबर कंटिन्यूस काम कर रहे हैं और नए नए बच्चे भी स्कूल आवर्स के बाद में आकर के वो कुछ सीखने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं।
Art is never stagnant, and even this style has many schools of thought. The most established among them is the Nathadwara school, whose characteristic features are large eyes, broad nose and heavy body. This could also be seen in the Bundi and Kota style, where the subjects are healthier as compared to the Krishnaghar style, where the subjects are tall, slim and stylized with stretched eyes.
जो पुराने उदयपुर या राजस्थान के अंदर जो ट्रेडिशनल हाउसेस हैं, जो हवेलीज़ हैं, उसके बाहर जो पेंटिंग्स होती थी, वो पेंटिंग्स एक्चुअली स्टार्ट हुई थी 18 सेंचुरीज़ में। 18 सेंचुरीज़ के अंदर जो पेंटिंग्स स्टार्ट हुई थी वो थोड़ी फोक स्टाइल्स में स्टार्ट हुई थी। उससे फिनिशिंग में आते 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 और वो फिनिशिंग आई मेवाड़ स्कूल में, किशनगढ़ स्कूल में, कोटा स्कूल्स में। बाकी जो जैसे बंजाराज और ये होते थे वो फोक स्टाइल्स काम में लेते थे उस समय।
These paintings are made on cloth using colors extracted from vegetable dyes. A single painting can take anywhere between a few months to a year because of the minute work that has to be done on them. Some of these paintings are made using powdered gold. Almost all the works revolve around a single theme, which is the life of Lord Srinath. Each painting is considered to be an offering to the Lord, which is why every painting has the Lord heavily jeweled. Common themes were the Sandhya Arti and the lotus flowers, as they are associated with Lord Krishna. Some of the exhibited painting had Mughal designs and were hand-sewed.
An art tradition closely associated with temple life. The colors of India are truly amazing. Stay with us while we take a small break here.
A detailed look at Assamese culture, some fine violin tunes, and the food trail.
Welcome back. They say when a man has no understanding of his culture and history, he becomes like a tree without roots. Which is why the state of Assam recently organized a festival to honor its maker.
It was on the calm banks of Brahmaputra and around the holy Kamakhya temple that Assam developed under Mahapurusha Srimanta Shankara Deva. It was this 15th century genius who transformed and unified the various diverse sects of the society into a common monastic order.
We are fortunate enough to have a great son like Mahapurusha Sankardev, as other parts of the country, whether Kabir, whether Ramananda, whether Mirabai, Guru Nanak. But unfortunately, Sankardev is less known compared to the others. It's a great credit to him that he traveled those days. He traveled every part of the country. That country was a great country. He imbibed the Indian culture. He is a servant of the mankind. Not only that, he is a great revolutionary. He is a far-sighted, visionary, and most scientific and modern outlook.
It was he who invented Assam's existing art forms like Borjeet or music, Satriya or dance, and Bhavana, the dance drama, to better communicate his teachings. At the event commemorating this saint, the Chief Minister of Assam, Tarun Gogoi, and activist Shabana Azmi joined hands with the event ambassador Victor Banerjee.
Eka Sharana Nama Dharma, a monotheistic doctrine based on the Bhagavad Purana, at a time when a young 24-year-old Guru Nanak was also exploring his own vision of Eka Sharana Nama Dharma, which he went on to preach throughout the world as Ek Omkar Satnam. It was the dawn of the Bhakti era. The 15th and 16th centuries of the Common Era were without doubt the greatest in terms of how they molded and shaped the beliefs, thoughts, and aesthetics of mankind.
Assam's various dance forms were clubbed together and showcased through a dance drama called Chordhara Jhumra, which depicted the childhood pastoral life of Lord Krishna.
Sankardev introduced social equality. He has included communal harmony in Assam. We want to send this message across the country and also to our own people. He introduced the concept of Bharat Barsha to India, to Assam. Assam was a small state. So he went across the country and introduced the concept of Bharat Barsha.
The event, apart from creating awareness about the teachers' principles, also extended into the realm of Assamese culture and history.
It is our culture and tradition that makes us very unique, which is why even when it changes with each passing generation, it is good to remember where it all started. At the same time, one should also pay importance to the young torchbearers of today's performing arts tradition.
Asavari, the dance institute run by Kathak exponent Shobna Narayan, has been organizing the annual two-day festival Lalitarpan for years now. Indian classical dance and music traditions are well represented here, and this year's music component laid emphasis to the instrumentalists. On day 2, they had the violin recital by artist Ragini Shankar. One would recognize Ragini as a young girl who used to accompany her celebrated grandmother N. Rajan. And this was the first time most of us were treated to a solo performance.
I thought her performance was really beautiful. The way she handled that violin was really tremendous, and it was a pleasure to see this young lady perform. And considering that she is from a family of musicians, I think she will be one of the leading performers in due course.
She began with a Maru Bheeg and moved on to playing a Vilambit, which is a slow composition in 3 tal or 16 beats, after which she moved onwards to Drutgat or fast composition in 1 tal or the 12 beats. She soon played the Khayal Gaiki of Omkarnath Thakur. This technique was perfected by her grandmother, where the nuances of Hindustani vocal music is captured on the violin.
The violin was just given to me, in my hands in our family when a child is about 4 years old. You don't need to use too much of your brain at that time. So whatever my mom and my grandmother did at that time, I'm so grateful for it. Because by the time I was 10 or 11 years old, I realized what a gift I had in my hand, which was the violin. And from then on, there's been no looking back, because every time I've only been thankful to them that they gave me such a wonderful opportunity, such wonderful knowledge, Actually, frankly speaking, I'm basically an open-minded person. I don't mind trying anything as long as it sounds good to the ear, that's all. It doesn't matter whether it is fusion or classical or even film. It can be anything, but it has to have a soul in it. The music has to touch the heart.
There were also times when her youthful self outshined, and she played Tihai after Tihai, showing considerable promise and mastery over her techniques.
The Lalitarpan festival is over a decade old now, and some of the young people who once performed there are today well-known artists. Well, it's now time for another small break. Don't go anywhere because the juiciest story is on the other side.
Coming up, a taste of Kashmiri Wazwa.
Welcome back. Are you ready for some exercise, some walking, some probing, and at the end of which, a food adventure that is most delicious?
Allahu, 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 Allahu.
Every Thursday, Nizamuddin Basti comes alive with pilgrims, all walking with a single purpose of offering their prayers at the Dargah. On this day, this hamlet buzzes with frenzied activity. Flower sellers competing with incense stick dealers, who in turn wage business wars with others on the streets, selling a million knickknacks. As these medieval bylanes attain a new life, so does the many eateries around it. My personal journey most often is in this direction.
Any food lover would vouch for the secrets that this basti beholds. You can find the tastiest of niharis, breads of many different kinds, and also different other kinds of cuisine. But what I'm here for is the Kashmiri Wazwa.
Delhi's Kashmiri population consists of two distinct communities: Pandits, who migrated in 89, and more recently, Muslim businessmen who have settled in the Nizamuddin area. Gulfam Kashmiri Wazwa is where they head to when they want a taste of their homeland.
एक्चुअली मैं ज़्यादातर, मैं ही नहीं, काफ़ी कश्मीरी यही रेस्टोरेंट प्रेफर करते हैं क्योंकि यहाँ पे वही टेस्ट मिलता है जो असली मुगलिया टेस्ट है वाजवान का, जो 8 टाइप का मीट पकता है डिफरेंट टेस्ट में, और इस वजह से मोस्टली कश्मीरीज़ यही प्रेफर करते हैं और यहाँ का टेस्ट और रियल टेस्ट इज़ सेम.
Read the permanently painted wall menu at the restaurant and you will know that they do complete justice to the elaborate Kashmiri Wazwa or the multi-course meal.
ये वाला जो कश्मीरी दुकान है यहाँ पे कितने साल का है?
ये 22 साल हो गए और बाकी कश्मीर में तो 35 साल हो गए.
आपकी दुकान है?
जी जी.
यहाँ का जो खाना है वो कैसे, किस टाइप का खाना आप देते हैं और कौन सा ज़्यादा लोगों को पसंद है?
कश्मीरी टाइप का, और ज़्यादातर रिश्ता, गुश्ताबा, कबाब, तबक मास और चिकन रोगन जोश,
ये ज़्यादा बेचते हैं.
जी जी. बाकी सारे आइटम और भी आइटम हैं जो ऑर्डर पे बनाते हैं.
On their must-try list of sukha or dry items are the tapak mas or the Kashmiri-style mutton ribs, cooked twice, initially braised with ground spices and milk and later browned in butter or oil, and the kebab that is roasted on skewers over hot coal.
Thankfully, we are here during non-business hours. Otherwise, this place is generally buzzing with activity. Now, I have before me the sheikh kebab and something called tabak mas. Looking at it, I would say that the quantity that they give here is enormous. Let's try this. Now, I must tell you that the taste of the kebab is very different from the ones that we're generally used to. For one, it's definitely bigger. Apart from that, the kebab is made from beaten up meat, not minced meat. Therefore, it's not as soft as it is generally here in Delhi, but that's the way it's done in Kashmir, I believe. Now, like I was telling you, the kebab is not as spicy, but this is a killer. Spicy vinegared onions. Oh. And now on to the tabak mas. Meat from one particular part of the mutton is only used to make this, and it is a little tough. Use both hands. Better still, just bite into it.
For my main course, I opted for a few other delicacies. Gushtaba, which is meatballs cooked in mildly spiced yogurt gravy. Rista, which is also meatballs but is cooked in spices and has a red gravy. Then there was also Rogan Josh, which is tender lamb cuts cooked using Kashmiri spices.
Now rice is a Kashmiri staple, and food is always had with a little bit of rice that they team with mutton gravy of different kinds. This is a no frills attached restaurant, so eating with a spoon is generally looked down upon. That's exceptionally smooth. Now it is not as spicy as it looks. All the gravies here have this very deep red color, but then you must understand that the Kashmiri mirch gives it that shade. It's not as spicy as it looks. But this particular dish, the Rogan Josh, is a little too oily for my taste. If you ask me, I'd suggest you have either the gushtaba or the meatball curry here.
The restaurant also has short eats like fried chicken, evening snacks like bread pakoda, and desi sweets like gulab jamun and hot jalebi. Food is reasonably priced here, and a meal for two will cost you around 400 rupees.
This is definitely the place to be. The servings are huge and the dishes flavored just right. Now I have this friend in my office whose mother sends me Kashmiri food every time he visits her there. But somehow it's never found its way to me. But if this is what Kashmiri Wazwa is all about, then I don't blame him for not sharing with me. You can of course share your food adventures with us through Facebook. We look forward to hearing about them. Until next week, goodbye and take care.